So overall thoughts on your East Coast trip?
I'm happy we did it. I thought we got a lot of experience, good, bad, and different. Got an opportunity to play a lot of different people and kind of see what we have, it didn't go as well as we would hope as far as a results standpoint, but I thought a lot of lessons learned, and I'm hoping that it can carry us through now in Pac-12 play, and we're ready for it.
I'd imagine that the results probably might have been different had Willow been healthy for the entirety of the trip. Just how much did that change not only the complexion of what you were doing rotation-wise, but also just what the morale of that kind of trip was after she went down against Pitt?
Yeah, I mean, Willow is such a big part of what we do, really everywhere. Again, I think we were up 19-17 in the fourth against Pitt. And Pitt right now is ranked third or something like that in the country. And she just impacts the game in so many ways. She was our best server. She was one of our best defenders at the time. She's really doing a nice job blocking. And then offensively, she is our go-to to take out all the trash. Out of system, if we don't get a good pass, we can just throw a ball up to Willow. She does something good with it. And those players are just really hard to find that play 6 rotation. And so that's who she is for us. So when you take her out, she just impacts the game in so many ways for us that it's hard to fill that with true freshmen. I don't care how talented they are. They just don't have that experience. We had more experience on the bench with Taylor Borup and Willow than we did with everybody combined on the floor. So that's tough. And there's no way of masking that or trying to coming up with something special about it. It's just now we got to go out there and we got to learn lessons the hard way, and we did that.
What's the update for both of them?
So Taylor, I don't know how long it's going to take for her. She's getting a second opinion right now on the East Coast, and we're hoping good things happen from that. I think she looks pretty good, but it's a hard injury to come back from, and so she's trying. She wants to be out there. Abby Hansen actually got hurt our first practice day on the East Coast, so that was day one. And again, not having her when Willow went down really limited us as far as what we could do with rotations. If we had Abby, then we could do some different things, and we could probably keep Veronica in the whole game. But then we didn't even have that option. Alex Leta is out for the year with a knee injury. She had a knee surgery while we were gone, that she had something before she came even into Oregon with. So again, just a lot of things going against us here with our personnel. So it's just kind of, I look at the bench and I'm like, we have 10, and 9 of them are playing, so it's like, here's what you got, and there's not a lot of different tricks you can pull as a coach. I think Willow looks pretty good. She really wanted to play. She was trying everything she could to get back in, but she wasn't ready to jump yet, and I didn't want her to get hurt worse, trying to baby it or, do something different. So I'm hopeful she'll be back sooner rather than later.
And going through all of that, what did you learn from your team, like as far as them being young and as far as them being on the road against top-ranked opponents every single day, pretty much? Like, what did you learn from them with you going forward?
Yeah, I mean, they got thrown right into the fire. I mean, and that was a gauntlet. That is not an easy road trip if we're healthy, which we knew. You plan these things over a year in advance, right? So, I mean, it's you don't know. You know the roster you have at the time, but you don't know what it's going to be like, So. Yeah, I mean, they had so many different things to deal with on the trip, but I thought we were really tough. I mean, we hung tight. We lost so many deuce sets. St. John's, we lost 2 deuce sets and then a set by 3. Duke, we lost 2 overtime sets and a 15-13 in the 5th. Penn State, we were right there. Pittsburgh, deuce set. I mean, it's just really all except for Minnesota. We had 2 sets against Minnesota. Those were probably the only 2 that were really out of reach for us. And so I liked how they competed, Again, they don't know what they don't know yet, so that's kind of where we're at. Again, if you can get some of your healthy bodies back, it buys them some more time to learn. And until then, we have to learn really quickly. We have to cram for our tests right now. And we just have to retain a lot of knowledge here in a quick basis. So.
And for Brooke, going from last year to this year, what can you kind of say about how she's made a jump so quick without really any error? It seems like she's been playing pretty good.
She's playing great. She's hitting almost 240, which that's better, I think, than Vander White did for us, or any of the other lefts we've had in recent memory, with just as many kills per set, just as many digs per set. Her block, I think, has been solid. Good server. She just does so many great things for us, and that's what you're hoping you get out of her. I think she learned, how to not be a shot maker and be more aggressive, that she can do that. I think you look at her and you think, oh, she's a smaller player, and I think that's how she saw herself. And then on this trip, it was against Princeton, actually, when things weren't going well again. And in the 4th set, she took over in the 4th and 5th set, and literally she won the match for us on her own with her offense. And I think she just, showed herself that she can be this aggressive athlete also, and that's where she wants to play. So I think for her, that was a really important lesson learned. So yeah, no, I mean, I'm not surprised by anything that she does. I think she's unbelievably amazing, and she's an All-American as a freshman for a reason. And now she's just learning how to do that in a different position for us.
You had a little bit of a feeling that this trip, obviously, you weren't going to go undefeated, even fully healthy from a trip like this. I mean, for the most part, knowing what the personnel kind of was, I mean, was there kind of an expectation that this trip would be a little bit of a grind in that regard, having so many freshmen, as you kind of said, a bit of a trial by fire?
I think, you're trying to prepare your group for Pac-12 and for playoffs, and this trip absolutely does that. Did that for us. It was not easy. They're tired. They're emotionally tired. They're physically tired. They're mentally drained. You're having to reset really quickly for another team. Which in playoffs, again, we beat Minnesota in the Elite Eight, or in the Sweet 16, and then we had to turn around. Literally, as soon as we got back to the hotel, we're talking about Nebraska, and that's kind of what this did. It prepared you for you got to forget about that match and now move on to the next one, and all those things. I mean, those are things that you have to teach this group, and because we are young, they have to learn it quickly, and yeah, I mean, I think this is it's a blip on our radar as far as the losses go. I think we learned a lot of different things about us and what it's going to take to be successful. I think the freshmen learned how much it stinks to lose, and they never want to feel that again. So when it comes to preparation and practice, like, here's what we're really working on, and this is why. Because you never want to feel that again. You don't want to let yourself down, your team down, Oregon down, our athletic department. You don't want to feel any of those things, and this is how hard you're working because you want to make sure that you put your best foot forward. So I just think a lot of lessons learned, and I'm excited to see us and see how we rebound for Thursday against Oregon State.
With Willow going down, were there any individual performance that really caught your eye throughout all the road trip, and just overall the individual growth? Do you feel that's going to really benefit you with some of your younger players? Yeah, I mean, I thought Carson Bacon became a really nice terminator for us, a big blocker, and you could just feel her presence grow throughout the trip. And I thought Kylie Robinson and Georgia Murphy kind of came into their own at the end, through everything. Lots of lessons learned, but they're two of the highest ranked recruits in their positions, and again, it takes time to feel out the rhythm of what it's like to play at this level. But by the end, I thought they both were playing really well, and those were big things. Again, I think Brooke found her game against Princeton, and that was huge for us, and she's been scoring great. Ronica is so good. I mean, everybody knew the ball was going to Ronica in every situation, and it didn't matter. I mean, I played her on the right side against Minnesota, trying to get her in more, and she didn't have a great hitting performance in that position. But all of her matches as a middle, she's hitting 455 with almost 4 kills a set. Like, those are unbelievable numbers. So just a lot of really nice performances from people. That's why if we can get everybody back, I like the team that we're becoming. Was there a certain match that really stood out to you? Like, maybe your whole team kind of clicked. Maybe it was towards the end. At any of the 7 matches?
Yeah, I think Penn State was a great match for us. I mean, I know we lost in 3, and they had a great crowd. It's prime time, and they're very good, especially at home. And they have some great middles, and they're a very good team, and I thought we played really well. And we had chances for sure to be successful there, and again, that was without Willow. But I just really liked our fight. Defensively, we had 50 digs against them in 3 sets. That's unbelievable. We held Pitt, Minnesota, and Penn State, back-to-back matches. We held them under 200 hitting percentage, which I don't know if we've ever done that in our program against 3 top 7 teams at the time. So just unbelievable as far as defensively, where we are, where we can be. I think that's what's going to make us special. Something about defense wins championships. I've heard that phrase. I don't know if I believe it, but no, I mean, that was really important for us. And then we're finding a little bit of our offensive game, and so a lot of great things there.
What have you seen from the Beavers, and what do you tell your young team about the grind of Pac-12 play?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why you have to schedule how we did in the preseason. It's because you have to go out and play a lot of, every team we played on this trip was very different, and how their style of play, kind of where their strengths were, where their weaknesses were. And that's how the pack is going to be. You're going to get a lot of different looks from Stanford to Oregon State, completely different, but both are very successful in the different styles that they play. So I think that was important for us to see all that. We've already started film with Oregon State, and the group got to see them opening weekend because they were in our tournament, so they're pretty familiar. We played them like 3 times in the spring, so they're same thing. So they know quite a bit about them, I would say, already. But really, even the whole trip, it's about us. We have the talent that we can go out and beat anybody, but we have to keep learning and growing and putting it in play and being really strong when it comes to clutch moments, and not be fearful or anxious, and just want to go out and make it happen. So, we know what Oregon State's about, but we need to continue to figure out what we're doing. So.
with Willow being injured coming into Pac-12 play, what do you see her role being like against Oregon State? And also, since it's Pac-12 play, since it's conference play, do you see yourself, like, if you're down a set, kind of a little bit of urgency, desperation putting her in?
I mean, I will never put my athletes in harm's way. You know, I think my track record shows that, you know, with past players that we've had and players that we've lost, you know, and now with Willow, you know, Willow could have played against those teams, but I think it would not have been in her best interest or our best interest, you know, for that to happen. So not willing to do that. I won't panic, you know. If we lose, we lose. If we're not good enough to beat them with who we have, we're not good enough to beat them with who we have, you know. But that's what we're working on. We're working on being better and being in a position to beat them with or without Willow. You know, Morgan Lewis did a lot of nice things. She's got to continue to grow. And at least for her in the back row, you know, did a lot of nice things too. Same thing, you know, they have to expand their game, and they can. They're very capable of doing that. You know, if Willow has done a great job. She was Morgan's roommate the whole trip, and so that was kind of fitting once she went down, because she was just trying to mentor her and help her out the best she could, and that's what you would expect from a senior captain. So I expect her to continue to do that if she's out. If she's in, then I expect her to be ready to go and play her All-American style game the way she'd been playing it. So
since she played in that last match against Hofstra, do you see a similar role against Oregon State, or do you think she's making strides to getting closer?
I mean, every day she's feeling better. So I think, again, we'll see how she's jumping. We'll see how she's moving laterally. You know, if she's feeling well, if she signs off on it, then we'll go with her. You know, she's definitely earned that at this point, you know. But if it doesn't look good, if it doesn't look stable, then I'm not pulling that trigger.